Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. It's time for Case in Point, presented by Paradigm Security Services. We are the cornerstone of security in the Southeast.
Welcome everybody to Case in Point, presented by Paradigm Security Services. I'm your host, Rick Strawn, the president of Paradigm Security Services, and we are excited to be with you once again today on Business RadioX. We're coming to you from Subaru of Gwinnett Atlanta studio, located in the beautiful Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel here in Duluth, Georgia. Each week we plan to feature businesses in the Atlanta area, especially those that serve Gwinnett County, as you know. While all businesses have security concerns, not all are about physical security, and we will touch on that and all related aspects of security where we can through the course of each show. Our guest today, I'm proud to have Doug Ireland. In case you hadn't heard that name, he's president and CEO of Freeland Painting.
How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing great. I can't believe I'm sitting here looking across this thing with you eye to eye. Wow.
I know. It's good to be here.
Good to see you. We hadn't had a chance to talk in a while, and one of the things I think that for those that don't know you, who is Doug Freeland? How'd you get into what you were doing? How'd you get into business? The type of business?
That's funny that you say Doug Freeland, because people say that. Yeah, exactly.
You got me, and we're friends. I've known you forever.
It's a common mistake, and it's an interesting story. That's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
So Freeland Painting came out of a mashup between my last name Ireland and my wife's maiden name Freeman.
Oh, cool.
Freeland. Then and we've actually had 3 companies called Freeland something or other along the way. Wow. And that's but you throw red, white, and blue on the trucks, and it's got a nice little patriotic ring to it.
That's what I do.
So Freeland Painting was born 10 years ago last week.
Fantastic. Well,
we just celebrated.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
10 years is quite a milestone when you're in small business.
It's an achievement, and I don't mean to be immodest or boasting about it, but yeah, the stats are 80% of, and part of these 80% of businesses fail by the 5th year, and fully another 80% of those businesses left over fail by year 10. So it's a right at about 4% that survive to 10 years. So
sometimes it's very difficult getting through that.
So cheers to that. Yeah.
In case you can't see it, like I know you can't, we're cheering coffee. So
there is no vodka in it.
Yep, not at all. Well, how did you get into painting?
One of my earlier companies back in the early 2000s was called Freeland Property Group. We purchased, renovated, and sold single-family homes all over Metro Atlanta. And at the time, real estate was hot. You could get loans by fogging up a mirror, and we really hit that market hard. In 2006 alone, I flipped 25 homes.
Wow, you fogged a few mirrors.
I fogged a few mirrors, and by March of 2007, I couldn't get a loan to refinance a property to save. It dried up.
Absolutely.
It happened so quick. It was such a whirlwind, and if you recall, those of you who remember, it was a bad time. So we got caught up in that. We lost everything. Had to scrape together, rebuild, and out of that, I learned how to turn that into a retail business instead of doing it for myself, where I was purchasing a property on my own and selling it. I started doing work for other people, and out of that came painting, roofing, gutters, siding, and windows. We chose specifically single trade things that we could do quickly and get done quickly, as opposed to multi-trade things like being a GC.
Right.
So that was the impetus for Freeland Painting, and we got off to the races then in 2009, joined the chamber, and just started marketing ourselves and growing the company.
We started in 2006, so we went right through that bad period too, and had to completely rechange our model and the whole bit too. So yeah. I know that was a hard time, and starting in 2008, you had to put a lot of faith in what you were doing and a lot of trust in Lord and everybody else to get where make a success of it.
It's been clawing and scratching the whole way. Small business is not easy. It's not natural. It doesn't happen by itself. It happens with great intent and great lots of pressure being applied to it to make sure.
A lot of focus.
A lot of focus, yeah. But I wouldn't change anything. This is exactly where I want to be. Control of my own destiny, and working hard to try and affect some change for the future in the small little part of the world that I can do that in, and here we are. So I'm very, very pleased and blessed to be 10 years into it and heavily growing. We're growing very, very fast right now. This economy's crazy.
Well, along with growth comes its own set of issues, and one of those sets of issues that I know all small businesses and a lot of big businesses face is cash flow. So how do you deal with it? How'd you deal with it in the beginning?
There have been hills and valleys along the way in terms of cash flow. There have been really, really good times where we had a lot of cash on hand. There have been times where we I've got a friend of mine who's an entrepreneur who says, you're an entrepreneur if you've ever put payroll on a credit card.
Yep. Yep.
We've had those times. We've been up and down. Somehow we've been able to make it through. In the times when you need money the most, nobody's willing to give it to you. When you don't need it at all,
yeah, everybody's there.
But take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're going to need it. I don't like to borrow money if I can help it. I want to be self-funded and have a pot of cash in the bank that's big enough to cover our growth. But man, I tell you, sometimes you need
hard.
it.
Sometimes it's very difficult, especially if you have an expansion that's quick. All of a sudden, I know starting out in a small business when we first started out, you're fine to a certain extent. You've got credit lines, you've got second mortgages on your home and everything else like a lot of small business people did, and we did that too. So you have a pot of money there that you can make your payroll, because in our business, we're construction, it might be 90 days before you get paid. But your employees don't want to wait for 90 days to get paid. So you got to pay them every 2 weeks. So it creates a tremendous challenge for a lot of small businesses, and I'm sure you face some of that too.
Yeah, as you know, cash flow is the disparity between when you get paid and when you pay out the expenses due on the activity. Hopefully, if you're managing properly, you're only borrowing money for variable expenses, for things that actually you make money on, and not for operating expenses.
Exactly.
And it's tough. It's tough to manage that. You got to be very diligent. But so far so good, man. Cross my fingers. Knock on some wood around here on this table. But we're in a huge growth spot right now, and cash flow is going to be an issue in about 6 to 8 weeks from right now. We're going to be really, really tight. And I've got a couple of tricks up my sleeve. I'm going to be calling my banker here next week. If he's listening. That's
kind of what I was fixing to talk about, Nick. When you reach those things, how do you suggest that other entrepreneurs, how do you look at obtaining that financing? What type of financing do you look for?
So I don't suggest doing the secondary markets.
Mortgage.
No. I mean, that actually, if you believe in yourself and you believe in your business, putting a mortgage on your house is a no-brainer, because
it's going to take. Yeah.
You are tying up an asset that it's a little bit scary to do that, to put your family's home on the line. But I got to be honest with you. For me, that would be easy money, because I believe in myself. I know I can build this business, and so if I need $50,000, I can take it out of my house. I can put it back later. I would want to do that, but yeah, that's a last ditch effort. But what I wouldn't suggest doing is going to like those secondary markets where you end up paying credit card rates to borrow money, and they tie you into these just bad deals. It's almost loan sharking, and those markets are out there. Those people are out there. I would not accept that. But what I would suggest, if I were giving advice to a small business who was starting out, is the same way you network with with the community in order to find and retain customers. You should be doing that to find and retain good vendors, and that includes bankers. So building relationships with bankers before you need the money is just as important as building relationships with clients, because I'll tell you, when we got an extension on our line of credit last year that no other bank would give us, and it was because the guy who was sitting across the table from me knew me. He knows my family. He knew exactly what we were trying to put together, and he went to his boss and fought for us and gave us an amount of money that we probably shouldn't have gotten at the time.
It's all about relationships.
It totally is about relationships. Ironically, our tagline in Freeland Painting is "Relationships matter more than the brush or the ladder."
That's perfect.
You like that?
I like that. It works very well,
And
especially with the relationships.
And we believe that not just with our clients, but with our vendors, with our employees, with our subcontractors. That permeates the entire business.
Well, it helps to show your culture, the culture you developed with your company, and it's important that a company have a culture.
Absolutely.
So, what would be the culture that you like to see permeate through your company?
One of trust, one of collaboration. We try to explain to our people that things don't happen in a vacuum. I'm not on a job site trying to squeeze anybody so that I can make a profit. What I'm trying to do is collaborate with our client, my subs, my banker, my employees, and me all at the same time. We all have the same goal, which is service a customer well, and move on down the line and service them over and over and over, so that we can have long-standing relationships. That's where real success is built, I think.
Just what the word I was looking at. That's when you really establish a true success, is when you can live up to the culture, and your culture is set in the right goals.
Yeah. And making sure that everybody has buy-in with that. Everybody has shares a piece of that vision, that we're not just trying to get one job done and make some money and go home. We're trying to live for a long time, for decades, and service people.
Have those people happy enough that they come back and they tell their friends.
Absolutely. Long-term thinking.
Absolutely. You've got to look at the big picture. And especially in a business like yours and a business like mine, if you don't look at that big picture and you stay too focused on the small stuff, you're never going to grow, and you can't grow. And you mentioned something that I think is very important, and you mentioned buy-in. And one of the things that you can have an excellent painter, I can have an excellent security officer, but if they don't buy into the culture that you're trying to promote, they don't help you. They hurt you. They become a liability.
Very true. Very true. I mean, it seems a little cheesy that companies must have a mission or a vision, but in this day and age, especially, I think the young people, the millennials that are often discussed and often maligned, they're looking for something bigger, something to believe in, something that they can, get up in the morning and go to, not just because they need an income or a paycheck, but because they want to believe in what they're doing. And I think that's incumbent upon small business owners to provide that for them. I think that's part of my job, is to create a culture that's inspiring. Now, and obviously not to everybody. Not everyone's going to buy into the vision that
Absolutely not.
that I have, which is fine. But we're going to attract, hopefully, in terms of employment, I want to attract a certain demographic of people that have that same vision as I do. And when I say demographic, I don't mean that doesn't mean they're man or woman or what race or color or creed. It's just
a thought process.
It's a thought process. Do they buy into that cheesy line that relationships matter more than the brush or the ladder? Because that's what we lead with. That's how we start our company meetings. We use it all the time, and it's plastered on my wall above my office, behind my desk. So we believe in that, and that's kind of what we've encompassed the Freeland Painting's mission to be about, is that philosophy.
Well, and having the philosophy and the focus on it, it becomes very important to your employees, because if your employees don't actually feel that you believe it, then they won't believe it.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's the other part too. You can't just say it.
Yeah, you got to live it.
Yeah, no, you have to live it. I had a friend of mine one time. He said, "Don't talk about it. Be about it." And that's an important distinction.
Excellent advice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that give lip service to stuff and just talk about things.
They talk the talk, don't walk the walk.
Yeah, yeah. And you say, have you ever heard of an author named Simon Sinek?
Yes.
The book Start With Why. I'm a huge fan of that philosophy that we do things for why, not what or how, but why. And that's more motivating than anything else. And not just in our businesses, in our daily lives.
And I think a lot of it has to do with leading your daily life in a way that, you would like your business life. They're not totally different. You can't, as a business owner, totally walk away and you're one person at one place and one person at the next. You've got to be you, and it's got to work both ways. I mean,
no, I'm always Doug Freeland.
You got that right. You are always Doug Freeland. Oh, you're funny. Well, when you look at recruiting people, Doug, how do you go about finding people? Because today the old saying is everybody that has a job, or everybody that wants a job has a job. Those that don't have a job either really don't want a job or they're just not qualified and nobody wants them. Which I find is not the case.
This is, I've heard, I won't name names, but I know specifically of a small business owner that I've heard before say, and you've heard this, oh, there's no good people out there. Everybody's lazy. No one wants to work. No one wants to do the work. I just don't find that to be true. That's not true at all. I think it's like, again, it's like falls back on my shoulders. I'm the one creating the vision here. I'm the one that has the job to offer to someone. If I'm going to attract good people, I need to be a good place to work. I mean, this is my job to attract people.
People need to want to come work for you.
Absolutely. And so then that guy's attitude that there's no one out there, well, it's self-fulfilling, isn't it?
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, he's never going to find someone right because he doesn't think he can, and he won't, because he's not going to create something that
people want to come to.
That people want to come to. So I always like to give the analogy of Chick-fil-A, and not to pick on anybody, but go drive through the drive-through at Burger King or Taco Bell, and then go over to Chick-fil-A and drive through the drive-through and see what the difference is. It's an astounding difference.
Absolutely.
Of service. Now, here's the thing: within $1, that job pool is the same. There's not a huge difference in the amount of pay that per hour that people are getting paid to work at one or the other, but somehow Chick-fil-A has managed to create a company culture that's attracted the best and the brightest, between ages 15 to 25. If they can do it, we all can. I mean, we just need to learn the lessons and quite frankly, repeat the successes. Yeah, absolutely. And nothing wrong with stealing from good ideas, I don't think.
Absolutely, and it's all about process. You got to have a process in place, a procedure in place, a thought process that flows through your company, and you've got to work it. You can't just talk it, like you said. You got to work it.
Now, I don't have the budget that Chick-fil-A has,
yeah.
But I do believe that if they can do it, I can too, even in my little small corner of the world. So that's kind of where I've approached it, trying to look inward and hopefully attract good people. We've attracted good people. In fact, our subcontractor base, I don't even recruit anymore. They come to us.
That says a lot about your culture and your company. Is when people, like I say, want to come to work for you, then they know what they're dealing with. There's a reason behind that, and it's a reason that's promoted by the company image, the company culture, and especially the company owner.
I'd like to think that I've had a little bit of an effect on that, but I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, you hadn't run too many off.
Yeah, from time to time we still have to run somebody off.
That's in every business. If you don't, and a lot of people, it's like the training issue. They say, what happens if we spend all this money and they leave? Well, okay, what happens if we don't spend all this money and they stay? So
yeah.
It's training. It's training not only in the job but in the way that we look at it.
Yeah. I would I would prefer to hire someone with zero experience in the construction field, but the right heart, than someone who's long-standing and knows how to nail up boards and but doesn't have the right attitude.
Knows everything about everything, but can't put two pieces of wood together.
Yeah.
With a good attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, a lot of times working hard is not the only answer. Do you believe in the working hard, or do you believe in the working smart, or do you just believe in doing the job?
That's a great question. There's an old adage. If you're a fan of Micro, the Dirty Jobs guy, he kind of vilifies that old adage of the work hard versus work smart, because what it's done is it's kind of
created lazy people.
It's created an image of the working hard is not why would you want to do that? Why would you want to sweat and work hard?
Circumvent it. With a little brain power.
I've got a lot of respect for the guys, and I'll just talk about my cruising, but from any walk of life or any business, this is the same. But anybody who's willing to work hard out in the sun, sweat, and swing a hammer, and there's a lot of honor in hard work.
Absolutely.
At this stage in my life and what I'm doing, growing the business, what looks like hard work to me is many times sitting in front of a computer, making presentations to clients, sales, marketing, and all those things. But working hard, working long hours, I think it's great for the soul. I think it's great for character. I'm all about hard work.
Well, and I totally agree. And it's the people that, and it's not so much as looking at it as hard work. It's looking at it as you have a job to do. You want to do the best you can at what you do. Mm-hmm. And if you can get people that come to work for you that just want to do the best, the absolute best that they can possibly do on that job and show you the results, that's working hard as a general rule.
Absolutely. And to that end, actually, and that doesn't mean that I want you to work, like if you're working for me or one of my project managers or salespeople, I've said this a million times. I go to the beach. If you can get your job done from the beach, I don't care where you are. I'm a results-oriented guy. Yep. If you're successful, making your customers happy, making your employees happy too, and the subs are happy, and everybody's doing that, and you're able to do it from home, have at it. I'm happy for you. Efficiency's great, and I want people to be efficient. But it's all about the results for me.
Absolutely, I totally agree. If a lot of people say, well, I don't want them working from home because I can't watch them. Bottom line, if you need to watch them, you don't need them.
I agree. I don't micromanage people. I see what the results are, and we have metrics. We talk about those results. We talk about the success or failures. We try to figure out how to learn from the failures. Failures to me are a good thing. When you fail on
teaches
a job,
you what to change.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that has to be embraced. The same failure over and over and over is not a good thing. If we're not learning, of course, but especially when I've got new people coming on board with Freeland Painting that have never managed construction projects before, they need to fail. They're not going to learn. I can't sit them down in a classroom and teach them what they need to know. They need to go out and try it real world. And in the real world, failures mean lost profits. That's just part of the job.
It is part of the job, but then also a lot of times when people fail and they correct it, you get a better product in the end than you would have gotten if they'd just not really failed, but it just slid under the radar.
What I'm hoping to create with this is a culture within Freeland Painting that failure is
won't get you fired.
No. Failure. Well, if we learn through failure that exactly. It's actually I encourage it, and when it happens, I'm like, well, the right thing to do for the customer is to go get it fixed. Let's get it fixed.
Absolutely.
And as long as we do that, I think we can be really successful.
Well, success is monitored and judged in a lot of ways, but getting there sometimes requires special efforts. And you mentioned something a few minutes ago with regards to marketing. How do you approach marketing other than just, well, let me just not even say other than, how do you approach marketing? What's your process?
I have tried so many different things along the way, Rick. Oh my gosh! And let's break this up. Marketing as an overall blanket includes branding, advertisement, sponsorships, all kinds of different things. We've done it all, and my most effective marketing tool is face-to-face. Me standing in a room, shaking hands with people in a networking situation, or as we grow with clients, sometimes our clients will allow us to come in, bring breakfast in for some of the managers. Face-to-face interaction is more powerful than anything else that I've ever been able to do. Now, I'm not a mass market. I'm not McDonald's. You can't be in front of everybody. Obviously, right. I'm not a nationwide company. But like I said, in our little corner of the world, we've been very, very effective with that. And so, joining networking groups, I'm involved in 3 or 4 different powerful networking organizations. I put sponsorship dollars into them as well. That's a very, very important part of the networking process, is putting your money into the organization, because people see that. Sponsorship isn't just about buying access. It's also about showing the members of the organization that you care enough to put your dollars in there, that you care about what the goals of that organization are. And so we really love sponsoring good organizations. Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce. There's another one called CAI, Community Associations Institute, that we're heavily involved in. Another group, Entrepreneurs Organization of Atlanta. So those are the things that I've done. Getting involved, rising to positions of leadership within those organizations, or volunteering. Like we did a trash pickup out in Roswell a couple of weeks ago, where about 20 of us just went out, walked about 2 miles around Roswell, picking up trash on the streets. Like an adopt a highway thing. And that's it's effective.
Well, I know that you're also, and I know you probably named the group. I know you're involved in a kind of like a board group, a mentor group, networking group.
That's Entrepreneurs Organization.
Is that the one?
EO.
I know that it's talked with you about it a little bit. I know I think Al Simon is also in it.
He's one of our strategic alliance partners. So he's one of the vendors who is trying to sell to the rest of us small businesses. We've got about 175 members in the Greater Atlanta chapter. This is a worldwide organization, worldwide organization with chapters all over the world. And Atlanta is one of the strongest ones. Obviously, being a
of course,
large
with
town.
you in it, yeah. I understand.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, and I think it's important that people look when they get into this stuff, and they were looking at getting into a business, of that personal interaction and hearing from other people like yourself, what works, what doesn't work, and the personal interaction, I think, is one thing that a lot of people, they miss. They want to put their money 100% into a marketing company. Now, marketing companies are good. It's good to take that avenue to get assistance and direction, if you will, in what to do, and some help with it too.
Some of the best things that we found about marketing companies, and I'll do a shout out. Marbury Creative Group did a great job for us. They helped us solidify our message, and they're the ones that came up with relationships matter more than the brush or the ladder. They actually gave us 6 different little taglines like that. Here's another one you'll like. Think outside the box, but paint inside the lines.
I like that.
Yeah, and they're a little bit silly and they're tongue in cheek at first, but we've used it to really build upon that. But a good marketing company will help you with your message, with your branding, with your logo, and with all those things. They're invaluable. They really are.
Well, I think the best message that you can do is be your own marketer, your own brand, and put it out there and do those visits, do those handshakes, do those touches on the shoulder.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
Be about it, exactly. Don't talk about it, be about it. I think that's awesome. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to touch on? I mean, we've had some great stuff here. I know there's a lot of stuff that we haven't talked about. But can you think of anything else that you'd like to just, from your wealth of wisdom and expertise and knowledge, share with us?
Wisdom. What a funny thing, huh?
Yeah.
Wisdom is the lessons learned from falling off your bicycle. And, you learn how to ride the bicycle by scraping your knees up a few times and
Lessons learned from failure.
Lessons learned from failure. There's no doubt in my mind that being willing to take some risks, being willing to fall down and get back up is definitely, that's where wisdom comes from lessons learned from falling down. So I hope to continue to learn and become more wise.
Well, I think there was a line in one of the Batman shows, from Alfred doing, "Why do we fall down? So that we can get up."
Yep.
So, and it's very true. And if one of the things I think people in small business really need to understand is, yes, there is security in a small business, but there is also the chance that you're going to fail. But are you willing to do that? If you're not willing to do that, you're never going to own a business, and it's never going to succeed.
I actually, and this is no lie, I heard somebody the other day say, I want to start my own business so that I could have more free time.
Good luck on that one.
And I was like, I don't think you understand. You're never going to work harder than I've never worked harder in my life than owning my own business. But that's a good thing. I wouldn't change that. It's very gratifying, the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm.
I take all this. I'm not gonna apologize about the good stuff, and I'm not gonna complain about the bad stuff either, because who's gonna listen? Number one.
Yep.
And number two, that's part of the job. There's ups and downs. It's the most joy, the most pain, the most it's the most of all those different emotions.
Beautiful roller coaster, isn't it?
It is.
Yep. Well, how do people get in touch with? I'll get it right this time. Doug Ireland.
Freeland Painting.
That's so funny.
So we're on the web at freelandpainting.com, FREELAND, just like it sounds, hopefully, if I'm pronouncing it right.
Well, I hope you are by now.
You can call our office at 678-679-3126 and schedule an appointment for residential, multifamily, commercial, and managed properties, including retail and light industrial managed properties. We do a wide gamut of stuff, and we're here for you.
What was that number again?
678-679-3126.
3126, and you can find them online at
freelandpainting.com.
Hey, that works. Well, listen, I want to thank y'all for joining us on Case in Point, presented by Paradigm Security Services. And if you really need a good paint job or a whitewash, go see the Freeland Painting, and you'll get a good one done. And you'll enjoy every minute that you talk with Doug. Remember, you can join us live every Wednesday at 11:30 in the morning, or you can listen to our show anytime you want by going to businessradiox.com, clicking on the Gwinnett Studio, and then click on Case in Point. Join us next week at 11:30 when we'll talk with business leaders about their business and related security issues in today's world. Thanks again to my guest, Doug Ireland, for our producers, Mike and Trey. And remember, I am Rick Strawn, and Paradigm Security Services, we cover more than just your assets.